So the book I decided to read for my crime novel project is called Killing Mr. Griffin. Right here is an image of what the cover of my book looked like, the one I checked out from the school library. It is written by an author called Louise Duncan. It was published by Brown Little in April of 1978, so it's a pretty old book. I read the hardcover version of the book, as I said, and I checked it out from the school library. I didn't find this book in any particular way. I was just searching through many books in the library. This one stood out to me, however, because when I would read the back cover, it reveals that the students killed their English teacher, which got me interested as a student myself. English is actually my least favorite subject, and I know a lot of people who don't particularly like English themselves or have had bad experiences with English teachers. So the personal experience got me more interested in this book as it's dealing with high schoolers and pulling a prank. So as a high schooler myself, I can kind of relate to it. And I chose a hardcover because I like being able to physically hold and read books. It just helps me stay more engaged. As well, it's harder to read digital books for long periods of time for me. It hurts my eyes, and just reading a hardcover book makes it feel a bit different. It makes it feel more real to me. And everyone should know that the author has written many mystery novels in the past, so she has very good experience in this field. You can tell by the way she writes it, how she articulates the story, and it builds on each other, and the events build on each other. You can definitely tell she's written many in the past. And there was actually a movie version made after, which we can see here, which was made later than when the book came out, but it follows the same storyline and keeps some of the same characters. So, about the book itself, the storyline of the book is created when a couple of students at high school in Sandia Mountains play a prank on their English teacher, whose name is Mr. Griffin. However, it takes a terrible turn, and they end up killing him. After killing him, they have to figure out what to do with the body and how to evade the police. The main characters are Mr. Griffin, the English teacher, or the victim, Dave Rudders, who is the class president and who comes up with this plan or prank, Kathy, who is a police investigator on this case, who is working to try and figure out what happened to Mr. Griffin. And then there's a couple of minor characters, Mark, Jeff, Betsy, and Sue, who are all the students who are part of the prank that went wrong as well. The suspenseful events come when they kidnap Mr. Griffin, and the prank would leave him out at a spot near a waterfall overnight, and the plan was to release him in the morning. However, it took a bad turn because Mr. Griffin has a deadly heart disease, which we figure out in the book. So when he didn't take his medicine that night, the students find him, and they're kind of shocked to see him dead the next morning. However, they leave behind evidence, which is later used to find his body, such as a pill bottle. Overall, I think others should be interested in the book because it is very suspenseful and takes a lot of turns while you're reading it. I think this book would target and interest younger people rather than older people because it is somewhat relatable to them, like I said, as a high school student. And many students have probably had teachers that they don't like. Obviously, they've probably never thought of doing this, but maybe a prank would be something that they thought of, but this is just a simple prank that went wrong. So I think that's why it would intrigue many young readers. And lastly, I thought the book was overall pretty interesting and a good book. I enjoyed my reading experience, so the storyline really intrigued me from the start to the finish. I would classify it as a fun read, as there are a lot of different twists and turns the book has. From a casual prank that turns into a full-blood murder, the different events in the book get the reader hooked. The only thing I dislike about the book is that it took a little while for the book to get interesting. So for impatient readers, this could be necessarily put it down after only reading the first 25 pages or so, because it doesn't necessarily get interesting until after they come up with a plan to prank the teacher. But the first 25 pages or so is more just background about the characters and the teacher and stuff like that. So if you're not really like to develop the story and read into it, it could necessarily turn you off from the book. However, the rest of the book is action packed, so I think the rest of that kept me engaged as it slowly progressed to become more and more interesting as the plot evolved. It followed the standard flow of a book with the character introduction, then moving to the problem, then the climax, and finally the resolution. And I also like reading it on paper a lot better. As I said, it keeps me more engaged. The paperback would appeal to many readers as it doesn't appear to be very long. So when I was going to pick this one didn't look very long. And I'm a very busy person, so seeing a book that wasn't very long but had an interesting plot would definitely keep you engaged and would definitely interest you, and it obviously interested me. And I would definitely try some of her other books because I enjoy reading about crimes, resolution of crimes, and how they are solved, and how the people that did it either get away with it or how they got caught. And the author has a few books that are similar to this one, such as I Know What You Did Last Summer, which I think I would be open to reading to. I think I'm going to try at a later time. And overall, Killing Mr. Griffin is an interesting crime novel, and I think you should read it as well.